Hello everyone, and welcome to the introductory presentation for the Transgender Health Medical Terminology Module 10B. This is a brief introductory presentation to get you acquainted with basic terms when navigating this module. So, first of all, welcome to the new module. This is the newest content addition to HSC 3537. This new module, 10B, is intended to provide you with an introductory background into the health terminology surrounding transgender health. So in Module 10B, we will be covering number 1, basic introductory terminology, number 2, terminology of specific medical procedures, and number 3, clinical terminology. Our goal is that at the end of this module, you have a better understanding of medical terms used in transgender health. Good luck and happy exploring. So before delving into some of the basic medical terms, we'd like to address some existing legislation that protects transgender individuals, just so you all are aware of this. So Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. So this also includes employment discrimination against an individual on the basis of sexual orientation or transgender status. So does Title VII protect employees who work in places where there's state or local law that does not prohibit employment discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity? And the answer is yes. So as a federal law, this applies nationwide and protects employees from discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity, regardless of state or local laws. So now here are some definitions to help guide you through the rest of the module. And note, all of our definitions are retrieved from the UCSF Transgender Health website. So first of all, we have gender identity. So gender identity is a person's internal sense of self and how they fit into the world from the perspective of gender. And next we have sex, which historically has referred to the sex assigned at birth based on assessment of external genitalia as well as chromosomes and gonads. In everyday language, sex often refers and is interchangeably used with gender. However, there are differences which become important in the context of transgender individuals. Next, we have gender expression. And gender expression is the outward manner in which an individual expresses or displays their gender. This may include choices in clothing and hairstyle, speech, or mannerisms. Gender identity and gender expression may differ, though. For example, a woman, transgender or non-transgender, may have an androgynous appearance, or a man, transgender or non-transgender, may have a feminine form of self-expression. And next we have transgender. And this means a person whose gender identity differs from the sex that was assigned to them at birth. So this may often be abbreviated to trans. A transgender man is someone with a male gender identity and a female birth assigned sex, whereas a transgender woman is someone with a female gender identity and a male birth assigned sex. A non-transgender person may be referred to as cisgendered, which in Latin, cis means same side. Next, we have gender nonconformity, which refers to a person whose gender identity differs from that which was assigned to them at birth, but may be more complex, fluid, or multifaceted, or otherwise less clearly defined than a transgender person. Genderqueer is a term that's often used interchangeably with this. And next we have non-binary. And non-binary is a transgender or gender non-conforming person who identifies as neither male nor female. And next we have transmasculine or transfeminine. And these are terms to describe gender nonconforming or non-binary persons based on the directionality of their gender identity. So a transmasculine person has a masculine spectrum gender identity with the sex of female listed on their original birth certificate, whereas a transfeminine person has a feminine spectrum gender identity, the sex of male listed on their original birth certificate. So, in portions of these guidelines, in the interest of both brevity and clarity, transgender men or women are inclusive of gender nonconforming or non-binary persons on their respective spectra. And next we have they, them, their pronouns. So these are neutral pronouns used by some who have a non-binary or non-conforming gender identity. Correspondingly, we have transsexual, which is a more clinical term which had historically been used to describe those transgender people who sought medical intervention via hormones or surgery for gender affirmation. So the term is less commonly used in the present day. However, some individuals and communities still use this term. And lastly, we have sexual orientation, which describes sexual attraction only and is not directly related to gender identity. The sexual orientation of transgender people should be defined by the individual. It is often described based on the lived gender. So a transgender woman attracted to other women would be a lesbian, and a transgender man attracted to other men would be a gay man. So your next steps are to proceed onto the information about transitions, procedures, and hormones, as well as learning the proper terminology when interacting with transgender patients in a clinical setting.